away. Let's escape. Let's separate. That house Negro would look at you and say, man, you crazy. What you mean separate? Where is there a better house than this? Where can I wear better clothes than this? Where can I eat better food than this? That was that house Negro.
Malcolm X was talking about African Americans who he felt had betrayed their community, who had achieved success by turning their backs on where they'd come from. He was talking about people like Sammy Davis Jr.
I gotta be me. I gotta be me.
Davis was an epic talent. He was Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson. He was the first black person in history who could sell out performances around the world, a charter member of Frank Sinatra's Rat Pack, a staple in the tabloids for 40 years. There's a sequence I love from a gala in Sammy's honor in 1989, marking his 60th anniversary in show business. Gregory Hines, a legendary tap dancer, does a number for Sammy, who's sitting in the front row. Then Hines invites Sammy up to join him. Sammy's just had his hip replaced. He'll be dead from cancer within the year. He puts on his tap shoes, hobbles on stage, and the two of them do a dance-off. I swear to God, if you don't believe me, look it up for yourself. Sammy blows him away. At the end, Hines gets down on his knees and kisses Sammy's shoes. Davis was born in Harlem. He started playing the vaudeville circuit as a 3-year-old with his uncle, Will Maston, and his dad, Sammy Davis Sr. He never had any formal schooling, or any childhood to speak of. The three of them traveled Jim Crow America, performing for white audiences in one hotel, then sleeping on the other side of the tracks in a colored hotel. During the Second World War, when he was drafted into the army, his nose was broken so many times in fights that it's flat for the rest of his life. Sammy was taunted, harassed. At one point, a couple of white soldiers pinned Sammy down, write "coon" in white paint across his forehead. There's an almost unbearable moment in Sammy's autobiography, Why Me? He describes standing under the shower in the latrine for hours, trying to get the white paint off his body. I stood under the hot water, rubbing until rashes of blood trickled to the surface, brushing until I'd scraped the last speck of white out of my skin. I got into bed. Nobody in this world is ever going to do this to me again. I'll die first. But Sammy's answer to never letting anyone do this to him again wasn't to fight, like Malcolm X wanted black people to do. Sammy's solution was to join. He moved, very publicly, into the master's house. He dated white women, blondes. He married the stunning Swedish actress May Britt at a time when interracial marriages were almost unheard of. When he moved to Los Angeles, he didn't move to Baldwin Hills, where middle-class blacks lived. He moved into a lily-white section of the Hollywood Hills.
This modern house Negro loves his master. He wants to live near him. He'll pay 3 times as much as the house is worth just to live near his master. And then brag about, I'm the only Negro out here. I'm the only one on my job. I'm the only one in this school who knew nothing but a house Negro.
If I play a Dave Chappelle routine for you without telling you that it's him, or a Richard Pryor bit from the 1980s, you'd know right away that Chappelle and Pryor are black. They code black. But listen to this. Sammy Davis on the Dick Cavett Show talking about what he learned from the old Borscht Belt comedians who used to hang out at Hanson's drugstore just off Broadway in the 1940s.
people, the Impressionists, would hang out on the corner, and I'd say, hey, I got one. I think I got one. I think I finally got Jimmy Stewart. And, you know, and Will or Larry Stewart would say, no, you haven't got it, man. That is, it's gotta be up here. You got it too long. And when you do it, you gotta have a sort of a draw behind it, so that it disappears in here.
Cabot then asks Sammy if he also does Laurence Olivier, which you think is just Cabot being mischievous, because Olivier was the greatest Shakespearean stage actor of his day, the son of a high church Anglican clergyman, about as far from Sammy as you could get, in theory.
Of course I do, Olivier.
You do Olivier?
Yes.
Really?
Well, what would you like to hear me do?
A couple acts from King Lear would be nice.
Well, he only did Lear once. How about Richard III?
I'll settle for Dick III.
Okay.
Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer in this sun of yours. Since I cannot, by rightful claim, my way to the throne, I shall hack and hew my way instead.
Oh, that's great.
If I didn't tell you that Sammy was black, would you know? He could as easily be white. He could be Jewish. In fact, he was Jewish. He converted. The lone black person at Temple Israel in Hollywood.
Sammy's mind worked like this. Whatever it takes to survive, I have to do it.
That's Will Haygood, Sammy's biographer.
Now, many of my friends are Jewish, and they love me, and they support me. So, that's interesting. I think I'm going to go to Israel. I think I'm going to become Jewish. And then I'm going to make some jokes about it. And I know people will laugh, but right now, in this moment, this is where my heart is.
Sammy meets Nixon in 1954. Nixon was the vice president at that point, and Sammy was playing the Copa, when the Copa was the hottest ticket in Manhattan.
So he got Nixon and his wife seats up front, and they never forgot it. Shortly thereafter, Sammy gets invited to the White House to visit Vice President Nixon. Now just think of that. A kid, born poor, who had been scuffling out on the road, who had been playing nasty-looking nightclubs, who never had a teacher, never had classmates, all of a sudden sliding around the White House.
They stay in touch. When Nixon becomes president in 1968, he asks Sammy to join a White House advisory council. When the gospel singer Mahalia Jackson died, Nixon asked Sammy to represent him at the funeral and sent a government jet. Nixon asked Sammy to go to Vietnam and entertain the troops. Sammy puts together a massive traveling entourage and plays his heart out. If you look at the back cover of Sammy's autobiography, Why Me?, there's a blurb from Alex Haley, who wrote Roots, another from Aaron Spelling, the creator of 90210, among a million other things, another from Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson and Liza Minnelli. It's maybe the greatest blurb lineup in the history of publishing. And then there's Richard Nixon, who writes, Sammy is one of the great living Americans. It wouldn't matter what color he was. With his intelligence, he could make it at anything, anywhere. It wouldn't matter what color he was? That sounds like something you would say about someone who comes from privilege, to flatter them into thinking they would have succeeded even without their privilege. It wouldn't matter if Mark Zuckerberg were an orphan from a remote village in the Himalayas. He's so smart he would still be a billionaire. It's totally nuts to say it wouldn't matter if he hadn't had those privileges about a black man born in Harlem in 1925 who never had any privileges. Sammy comes to Nixon pretending he isn't black, and Nixon comes to Sammy forgetting he's black. Their relationship is a kind of delusional post-racial fantasy. So Nixon says, "Come to Miami for the convention. We'll put you up at the Playboy Hotel. Why not play for the kids at the youth rally?" Of course, Sammy says yes. And Nixon stands in front of the crowd on national TV and starts talking about how Sammy's critics accuse him of selling out by being a Nixon supporter. Then Nixon says,
"You're calling Sammy Davis Jr. by inviting him to the White House. You're going to buy him by doing something for America."
Nixon waits for the applause to die down. He's looking the other way. Sammy sneaks up from behind, wraps his arms around him. The hate mail Sammy gets over the next few months is so vicious that he hands over some of the letters to the FBI. Eartha Kitt comes up to him and hisses, "Did you have to kiss him?" Sammy is blindsided. He's desperate to salvage his reputation. He calls up Jesse Jackson, who every year has a big conference in Chicago for his civil rights group, Operation Push.
I am somebody. I am somebody.
In 1972, Jackson had lined up virtually every Motown and gospel star. The Temptations, Marvin Gaye, the OJs, Curtis Mayfield, Roberta Flack. Sammy says, "I want to perform." Jackson says, yes. Brings him out on stage.
I am here because I have come home as a black man. Disagree, if you will, with my politics, but I will not allow anyone to take away the fact that I am black. Now that's all I can say, except that I would like to say.
But who is he kidding? It's September 28, 1972, a little over a month since he was hugging the enemy in Miami. For the rest of his life, Sammy would be haunted by his reception.
So maybe one of the worst things that happened to you, I read, was being booed by people. I think it was in Chicago.
This is Sammy, in an interview years later with Tom Cottle on the Boston ABC affiliate.
It was the first time that I'd ever been rejected by my own people, because it was predominantly a black audience.
Because of your embracing of
Yeah,
Nixon.
the embracing of Nixon.
Yeah.
Jesse was there, as he always had been before, prior to, and as he's been since. He supported us, a friend. And I was about ready to run, or literally run off the stage, and he said no. He made me stay and talk to the audience, and made me perform.
And what did Sammy sing?
Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong,
You can't make this up.
whether I find a place in this world or never belong, I gotta be me. I gotta be me. What else can I?
But the hurt of being booed, so I don't want to experience that kind of hurt again.
I want to live, not merely survive.
Afterwards, Sammy went home and got drunk.
So now you have a 20th century type of Negro today. A 20th century Uncle Tom. He's just as much an Uncle Tom today as Uncle Tom was 100 and 200 years ago. Well, he's a modern Uncle Tom. That Uncle Tom wore a handkerchief around his head. This Uncle Tom wears a top hat.
Sammy sold his own people out. In the middle of a life and death struggle, he put on a top hat and tap danced for the master. And there's nothing so unforgivable as that, is there? Except, I'm not so sure. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. But the problem growing businesses have that keeps them from knowing their numbers is their hodgepodge of business systems. They have one system for accounting, another for sales, another for inventory, and on and on. It's one big inefficient mess, taking up too much time and too